Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is putting the question that Sri Ramananda Roy is answering in this posing. The entirety of theological development was expressed there on the banks of the Godavari River. Interesting. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is magnanimity and sweetness combined. And that meeting on the banks of the Godavari was the only time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his real identity. So you see those pictures. It's quite, the pictures Mahaprabhu is sitting, Ramananda Roy is sitting in front of him, and Ramananda Roy is going like this, and Radha and Krishna are kind of there next to Mahaprabhu. I don't think that's what he saw at all. I don't think that's what he saw at all. I think he saw the form of Mahaprabhu is the combined form of Radha Krishna. Not that he saw, there's Mahaprabhu, there's Radha Krishna kind of around them, or going back into him, or something. I think it's more profound than an artist can show. I wouldn't say, those ones where they draw the elephant, but it's actually made up of gopis or ladies, in Rajasthan. Mm-hmm. They're the trunk, they're twisted. The whole body of the elephant is actually these combined different things. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it was like that, because a little Krishna here, a little Radha there, the head and the neck, and all that. But magically, mystically, spiritually, what he is, then he saw what he is. Mm-hmm. Not just saw him as a sannyasi and then Radha and Krishna. I never have, when looking at those paintings, thought, no, the artists are so limited. It's like, they can't actually paint Krishna. They paint something that reminds you of Krishna, but not actually. So that was the first time, and the last time, and the only time. But there was one other time, and he doesn't reveal himself as combined form of Radha and Krishna. But he took the complete form of Radharani. And that's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Maharaj and I went to that garden, which now has a temple in it, run by Vaibhav Maharaj in the time, and now it's his followers. Mm-hmm. What's it called?
Jagannath Vallabha Gardens?
No. It's a real simple name.
Totaya?
Something like
Ayatota.
Ayatota, that's it, And so you go there now, it's a coconut garden, it's well manicured, there's a wall around it. So it doesn't look anything like it did in the old days. Mm-hmm. None of the original trees could possibly be there. It's all coconut banana. Well, there's a nice Gaudiya Mandir and a nice kirtan. So it was after Rath Yatra, after Gambhira, after Lord Nrsingadev, when Mahaprabhu takes his devotees around the corner, where that Nrsingadev temple is. When you look at Gambhira, it's this way and over there, and then it's built into the wall type of thing. After that, then they went into this garden, which is further behind the Gambhira.
Gundicha.
Gundicha. And then the description is he's doing Sankirtan and the devotees are keeping up with him and he's going round and round funny. The devotees are just like dropped off on the path, and only Mahaprabhu continues dancing ecstatically and going, and Lord Nityananda is following him through the garden. And he loses, I might say he loses sight of him for a second, but then Lord Nityananda sees Mahaprabhu and starts to go there. Mahaprabhu transforms into Radharani. Fully. Mm-hmm. Sorry, not sorry, but whatever proper dress Radharani actually wears. Mm-hmm. And seeing that, Lord Nityananda pays, I think he says he pays his obeisances and comes back. Now, there are no purports to that verse. Now you would think from yonder around here, the people would just pounce upon that verse. Mm-hmm. So this is why I feel there's no take on that by any acharya. Because what is an acharya? Acharya represents Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda just folded his hands and left. He did not venture there. So the acharyas don't venture there with their purport on what is happening. It's quite interesting. Bhaktisiddhanta doesn't comment on it. Nobody comments on it that we follow. Bhaktivinoda Bhaktisiddhanta, they don't comment on that. So my thinking was that was the reason why. Nityananda didn't go, and his representatives don't go. But like I said, if you pointed this out to what's in vogue today, they'd probably go there with some bombastic, long, drawn-out commentary about this. But that wasn't showing himself as Radha Krishna combined. That was just showing himself as Radha. Do you know the verse I'm talking about? Where it is?
Yeah.
In Chaitanya. Find it, why don't you look it up in the folio?
Sure.
You'll see that. I'm slouching in the chair. He revealed it to Sri Ramananda Roy in that place only. And we never find it anywhere else. Rasaraj Mahabhav Doi Ek Roop. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is both Radha and Krishna combined. The most secret portion of the truth was shown there only once, and we never find that it was expressed in any other place. It's quite astounding. But similar to that occurrence is Imlitala. And usually the devotees are quite surprised. In fact, I don't know where else it might be recorded. The most secret portion of the truth was shown there only once, and we never find it anywhere else. So, Srila Sridhara Maharaja said that the two most important places in Vrndavan, he didn't say it was his favorite, but he said the two most important places in Vrndavan are Radha Damodara temple and Imlitala. And again, we don't have a complete explanation of that, or I haven't heard it yet. You know what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
It's in the end or it's in the verse?
The verse.
It's in the verse. Okay, so why Radha Damodar would be suggested as the most important in the thinking of Srila Sridhara Maharaj? If I had to make a guess, under pressure, I would say it's because of Jiva Goswami and the Tattvacharya. Not because of this is the place of Radha Dasyam, but it could be. But also the position and the place of Jiva Goswami, the Tattvacharya, such an important position. The Tattva, the proper conception, making this, of all the places of the Goswamis, Leela in Vrndavan and whatnot, the most important. But it's supposed to also coincide to where the verse in Gita Govinda is written about Krishna is asking for the foot dust of Radharani. That this is where that happened, at this courtyard right here, possibly right there underneath that altar on the ground some 5,000 years ago. But it would be one of the two. It would be one of the two. Because of Jiva Goswami and of course Rupa Goswami Leela, giving it its importance. And also Krishna Leela, giving its ultimate importance because of Radha Dasya, and service of Srimati Radharani. So then the short words.
42.
Yeah, then this verse 42 speaks about why he would say Imlitala is the most important. And the translation is, while he was visiting various places of pastimes in Vrndavan, the Lord arrived at the famous tamarind tree, which had been existing since Dwarpa Yuga. He sat beneath its branches, and when he saw the dancing waves of Jamuna, the memory of Jalakeli, the water pastimes, was aroused within him. And he became immersed in thoughts of those confidential sporting pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis in the water. In that secluded place, undisturbed, his whole being became pervaded with thoughts of Radhika, her beauty and her sweetness. This place is indicated to be the place of origin of the Gaura-tattva, Himmatha. For it was here that Shyamasundar was totally absorbed in ecstatic love for Srimati Radharani. Sriman Mahaprabhu, who is himself the origin of all, eternally resides in this place. So, in a sense, it's the birthplace. You can say birthplace, it's origin, the birthplace of the conception of Mahaprabhu, where Radha and Krishna again became one. It was in this place. And therefore he says, he eternally resides in this place. I sing with joy the unending glories of my Lord, Gaurasundar, the beautiful, and the divine abode of pure love. So unless, as far as I know, unless you gleaned the importance of Himmatha from this verse by Srila Sridhara Maharaja, or heard it from similarly connected persons in the Gaudiya Math, which I would now whittle down to almost none, I would almost place my chips that this is the only place in the English language, or possibly in any language, that's accessible, where the importance of Himmatha is so...
This verse is up in the talking,
no, this is not the verse
no,
that's there. No, it's a different verse that's there. I forget which one that is, but there's a verse there.
There's a glorification of Himmatha by Srila Sridhara Maharaja, and another verse glorifying Sakhi Charan, who bought the land and helped Goswami Maharaj
Get that place.
Yeah.
So it's under Goswami Maharaj.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but no, that's not this verse. There's other two, and they're just in Devanagari there, and just in the same thought wave, out in Tarakadamba. There's one verse which the Babajis took off the wall.
They put it back now.
They put it back.
Prahlad Maharaja told me that those verses are still there, he said.
Oh, okay.
Even though the Babajis are running that place, he said the verses were so beautiful, they kept them there.
They kept them there.
Yeah.
But at one time I think they'd covered them. Or
Yeah, they were lying somewhere.
Something.
Yeah.
Because that, like, I can't remember those verses, but it gives some chastisement actually to the Babaji section in a subtle way. It's Tarakadamba.
Yeah.
That's quite far from here now.
Yeah, near Nandagaon. Yeah.
Tarakadamba. Anyway, this verse, and so I honestly think, unless a person has understood that from this, where did they get the understanding unless they heard it from somebody who's repeating this? I've never heard it anywhere else. Have we ever read it anywhere else? In any other book? Any other Gaudiya Math book? In any articles? Bhakti-Siddhanta? Anything like that?
No, I haven't come across
So then it's one of two things. Sridhar Maharaja's personal divine realization, or it was something that was shared by Bhakti-Siddhanta that just didn't make it to print. And it's just one of those gems that, doesn't hit the front page all the time. But nonetheless, it's a gem amongst the gems. It's a gem of gems. You follow?
Yeah.
So I think that is, to be able to recognize that is in itself a not sufficient, but an appropriate glorification of Srila Sridhara Maharaja, because it certainly demonstrates, either way you look at it, his profound standing in self-realization and prema bhakti and Gaur Lila and Krishna Lila, and to pull that all together, and or it represents his ability to retain those gems of Bhakti Siddhanta and retain that in beautiful verse so that it goes forward for generations. But when we say generations, it's just a handful of people who pay attention. Of course, anybody reads it, hears it, but whether they actually lock onto it and understand, like, wow, this is special. I mean, remember, a lot of people read Sridhar Maharaja's books just like they read Prabhupada's books, and when you do that, you can't derive the same benefit, because one is reading and preaching on a sambandha level, and the other one is taking you deep into the ocean of self-realization and Gaur and Krishna Lila. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, quite beautiful. Srila Swami Maharaj. Rasaraj Mahabhav Dvaye Guru. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is both Radha and Krishna combined, and the most secret portion of the truth was shown there only once and never find that it was expressed in any other place. So this also makes me remember that short little article that I wrote, inspired by Srila Sridhara Maharaja many years ago over at Rupanuga Bhajan Ashram. And it explained, because I only ever went there once, but I went to Nathdwara. And in Nathdwara, I had heard in Bombay that they called Vallabhacharya Mahaprabhuji. I just heard some stuff. So, we had our camera gear, me and Vishnu Maharaj, so we just put on the goober routine, went there and asked him, like, who is the Vallabhacharya? And we got the whole spiel who was Vallabhacharya. They basically just carbon copied Chaitanya Charitamrita, and they were just telling us one pastime after the other, which is about 3, and I couldn't stand any more than that. So then I said, did Vallabhacharya, did he ever meet, what was his name? I can't remember, some Chaitanya something. And they said, oh yes, when Vallabhacharya presented his Bhagavatam to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his own Bhagavatam and threw it in the ocean. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And then I looked at Mars and said, we've heard enough.
Nice.
Good luck, guys. And we just turned around and marched out there. Where'd they go? So, if you play a lot of people, you get the song that they really sing. So anyway, so that was, the inspiration. Sri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Doi Guru. So I thought, well, then the generic meaning of Mahaprabhu cannot just mean great master, because anybody can claim it. And it is one of the names, if I'm not mistaken, in the Vishnu Sahasrama. So it is a name of the Vishnu in the Vishnu Tattva, but who does it apply to? And so I wrote this little article that it only applies to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's the combined form of Radha and Krishna. Maha meaning Mahabhav, and Prabhu meaning Rasaraj, Krishna. Not just great masters. You follow? Is that accurate? Yeah. So that was inspired actually by that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srila Sridhara Maharaj, and it was just obvious that it just can't be a generic great master, because then you could call Vallabhacharya great master. He's got a tika maybe even on Vedanta. Yeah. And we don't even have a tika on Vedanta, actually. One was written a long time ago. Mahaprabhu didn't write one. 6 Goswamis didn't write one. Well, he did, Vibhushan wrote it, right? So, and it's not even a matter of what really that was importance for us. It was just to stay the arguments that were stemming out of Gauta that Gaudiyas should not be worshipping Govinda Devi, because they're not a bona fide sampradaya without a tika. So he presented that, and that's pretty much all it was meant for. Although there's more in it than just what it was meant for. It's chock-a-block with Gaudiya. The whole cause of existence is twofold. The predominating part of beauty and the predominating part of beauty. Where? Maybe in Bhaktivinoda, some expression like that. That is so unique to Srila Sridhara Maharaja. And unfortunately, people's ears get conditioned that they can only hear the absolute truth in a certain vocabulary. And that's so true of many Western devotees. And I remember when Krishna Reality, the Beautiful, people's response was, Krishna? What's that? Prabhupada said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he wasn't the first one to say that. But that's what he chose to speak more. But when they heard Krishna Reality, the Beautiful, said, what's that? The sound, it wasn't, oh, no, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when Yasa speaks up and says, what did you learn? I mean, when Sridhar Maharaj asked him, what did you learn, or however he phrased the question from Prabhupada, what did he teach you? He goes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Sridhar Maharaj goes, well, that's also debatable. I don't think you could catch it, you know. They have jaundice is why. That which is sweet gives them no taste. They can actually even find it bitter, unfortunately. But according to Prem Kishore, more people are softening up or taking interest. At one time somebody made the comment, they said, oh, Nityananda Maharaj is becoming favorable to Sridhar Maharaj. But the reason the way they were saying it is like, now the good fortune will go to Sridhar Maharaj. Understand? That if this gentleman is favorable to Sridhar Maharaj, then it's Sridhar Maharaj that will benefit. Yeah, now I'll give you an explanation in the name of Prabhupada. If it just, when it generally means at whose feet many masters sit. Well, isn't that unique? And doesn't that just dandy upgrade for all of us, all of them, right? There was Prabhupada, and then there was all his disciples. There wasn't any other great masters sitting at his feet. And mainly derelicts, ex-drug addicts, hippies, fags, all kind of demented people had been saved by Prabhupada. And over the record, I'd hardly call them great masters. So it's almost, they keep looking at that and keep saying that means at whose feet many masters sit. But in the sense, it's a self-glorification. Their own humility should say, yes, well, if that's the meaning, then we've given an inappropriate title to Srila Prabhupada, because certainly we are not many masters. Even the present ones today represent Upasiddhantas, starting with the Jiva-tattva, and right through every tattva, there's just an Upasiddhanta or an incorrect understanding or a total massacre of some sort or another. There's just nothing, which is laid out as it is, complete. Nothing. So, it's rather a type of self-glorification. But when you look and you look at the trends, when you look at the history, and you come to that Leela of Rupa Goswami, and writing that verse, and Mahaprabhu choosing him to be the head, and he gets also the title Prabhupada, which is also given to Mahaprabhu prior, and I think, is Prabhupada in the Vishnu Sahasranam?
No.
That's not a name of Vishnu. We're using Vishnu Tattva. So, you have Mahaprabhu as, in our world, the early, certainly not in a Madhva line, there was nobody called Prabhupada. So, he's the original Prabhupada. Then Rupa Goswami is like next in line, and he's the Acharya. Why is he the Acharya? Why is he the Acharya? Because he opened many temples, because he had a big collect, because he made many disciples and all these things? Nope. Because he understood the heart of Mahaprabhu. And so, if you take that definition, and then you apply, that's what it means. One who understands the heart of Mahaprabhu can receive this name. Then it's a great distinction. And it separates from, others who may claim to be a Prabhupada. And it certainly then takes it away from the self-glorification of ourselves who are sitting at his feet, meaning we're the many great masters. Understand what I'm saying? But these things don't interest those people at all. They only interest me because it rubbed off on me from Srila Sridhara Maharaj. It's like splashed with the nectar, a few drops, and how can you not think like that? So much association with Sridhara Maharaj. How did you get there? What came upon you? Even in our first meeting with Srila Sridhara Maharaj. He'd already inquired. We were already pre-interviewed. Nobody was there that we knew. We showed up. We thought Tripurari Maharaj and all the clan would be there. Nobody was there. We just showed up. Oh, yeah. And self-introduced ourselves to Badri and others. And I could understand that, then they spoke with Srila Sridhara Maharaj, who's come, this, that, and the other, what's their thing. So many people would come in there like completely shell-shocked, lost faith even in Prabhupada. Why did he pick these 11 GBC? And just totally traumatized many people. Or their guru had blooped, even worse, you know? All kind of stuff like that. But that wasn't in us. We weren't traumatized. We weren't anything. And Srila Sridhara Maharaja, after asking, oh, how are you? How did you spend the night or something like that? Then he said, you have come for the sweetness. You see. So how could he know that? Oh, omniscient? No. Mystical? No. We were already interviewed, and you know, there was nothing on our slate that said we were all traumatized because of the goings on in ISKCON. Now, we had maybe other issues, you know, but we weren't traumatized. So he said, you've come for the sweetness. So that was very nice. He took that little brief meeting all the way to Gaur Leela, didn't he? Yeah. That was pretty ecstatic. And later, when I got the name Bhakti-Gaurava Narasimha, this is a problem. The Bengalis, Narasingha, everybody in South India, Narasimha, and I get stuck in the middle sometime when people ask me, what's your name? You know, do I say Singha or Simha? You know. Anyway.
When you got the name?
Yes. Srila Sridhara Maharaj would say, Govinda Maharaj leaning over him and telling him who's here and everything like this, and that took at least 10 minutes to get him to understand that somebody was in the room with him and bring it to this point of Narasingha Maharaj's name. So he said Bhakti-Gaurava Narasingha, and Sridhara Maharaj said Bhakti Narasingha. And Govinda Maharaj said it again, Bhakti-Gaurava Narasingha. And Sridhara Maharaj said, Bhakti Narasingha. And Govinda Maharaj said it again. Now, it might have been more than 3 times, it was 3 times for sure. The 3rd time he said it, you could hear it all the way to the street. But Sridhara Maharaj couldn't hear it. Bhakti-Gaurava Narasingha. Then he didn't get it again. And then Govinda Maharaj said, Bhakti-Gaurava, Pujara Ragapata Gaurava Bhangi. And then Sridhara Maharaj said, Bhakti-Gaurava Narasingha. And so I didn't realize at the time how important that verse would become to me in a sense. In other words, here's your name and here's your mission. It's in here. Here's your bhajan, here's your practice, and here's what you fight for. Here it is. It's right there at that time. To me, that's what it became known. Just like for us, we're not here because I gave some money. We're here because we stood up for the line of Sri Rupa, our Parampara, and our Guru Varga, including Sridhar Maharaj and Prabhupada, and people with infinite amounts of money, more than us, and more followers than us. You know, we've got 1/3 of our mission sitting right here. You know, we got it. And they're thinking, you know, a lot of my old friends are thinking, oh, we gave him some money, you know. A lot of people would give money here. They didn't get a place here. They didn't get service here. And that demonstrates our relationship here also, you know, and as well as having received the chair of their father. It's not the chair in the way we speak of the chair.
Rupanuga Varga.
Yeah, Rupanuga Varga of Radha Damodara. No. But it's certainly one of great appreciation and affection and dignity and respect and everything like that they would do that. Also, passing it to any member of the family would be, nobody wanted to sit in their father's chair. So they gave it to their, you know, in a sense, their father's equal. Because in the beginning, he used to tell them, you treat Maharaj like me, like your father. He used to say that. Okay, this has been taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Bhagavatam. The whole cause of existence are twofold. The predominated part of beauty and the predominating part of beauty. So distinctly Sridhar Maharaj there. Not power or force, but beauty and love is the prime cause. I mentioned somewhere one day in a talk recently, if there was no love between Radha and Krishna, there would be no love anywhere. There wouldn't even be affections that animals sometimes show to their offspring, or fish for that matter, you know. There would be nothing. There would be no affection, there would be no love. If it were not for the rasa of friendship, there'd be no such thing as friends in this world. You know, which even you sometimes see that in the animal kingdoms, dogs buddy up, friends, stuff like this. None of the rasa, nothing. There'd be no affection in family. There would be nothing. It would just be a cold, clammy existence. So that means if there's life on other planets, and certainly there is, this recent report came that they have identified over 250 signals that have the indication of like intelligent life attached to those signals. They've accumulated over so many years. I didn't read the details. So there must be friends out there. They must have family out there. All these different things. Even if you think about it in terms of E.T., you know, E.T. had a mother. Because everything comes, this is the shadow world of that world. And so not just shape of heads, arms, and legs, but what goes on in that world also then is in this world in the shadow form. This is a new grant to the world, which was never given to the world before. The prime cause of the whole infinity is beauty and love. And this is especially, and this is the speciality of Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, you know, we have decided more or less that the only two cantos to give class from in Srimad Bhagavatam is first and second cantos. After that, Bhagavatam is for personal reading, for devotees who are studious. And 10th canto, yes, Krishna book, and sometimes, you know, something is spoke by the sannyasis to the devotees in 10th canto. But we don't give classes on 10th canto. All around town, everybody wants to give a class on 10th canto. We're not doing that. You can go to some temples and you drop in and they're in 7th canto, they're in 8th canto, 9th canto, 10th, 4th. They're just all over the place, you know. And they never get around to reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. And what is to be followed in all those other cantos? Nobody follows it, except for what great harm will come to you if you don't rise up from puja when a Vaishnava comes to the door, or fasting, or something like that. You know, Kardama Muni in his spaceship flying around enjoying sex for 1,000 years or something like that. They don't get where the whole story is going. Then suddenly, here we are in 10th canto. You know? So the important thing for self-realization lies in first, particularly in first canto. And second canto also establishes Krishna and his Leela, Dwarka, certain things. But after that, it just takes off on a whole menagerie of stories that lead up to 10th canto, and most people don't follow what it is. And then again, I don't remember ever. Maharaj Chaitanya Charitamrita class, and maybe read during milk prasadam at night or something like that. Can you ever remember in LA, Chicago, morning? Class? Srimad Bhagavatam class actually being a Chaitanya Charitamrita class?
No.
Not only that, they don't sing any other songs. They don't even know Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, its significance in our parampara. They're just songs, and they just sing the ones that Prabhupada sang. And daily, although he sang many songs, the ones he sang daily, that's the only one. Same thing, over and over and over, and they never get to Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is Bhagavatam on steroids, and more easy to understand, and comes to a higher conclusion, visible. So our emphasis is first, second canto, then Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the saying is, if all books were lost and destroyed, if Chaitanya Charitamrita survives, I'm talking about some thing, there's some demons made a mantra and poof, this disappeared all the Bhagavatams. Chaitanya Charitamrita is there, everything survives. Everything that's important, and particularly in Kali Yuga, everything that's important for progress in Krishna consciousness is retained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we need not be afraid. Apprehension is a superficial thing. It is Maya, illusion. In the depth of our life's achievement, there is no apprehension. All is love and beauty. Our future is guaranteed in a most optimistic way. In his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Srila Jiva Goswami Sanatana Goswami tries his best to take us through the path of gradual development in devotion. Prahlad Maharaja has been accepted as the basis. Books are the basis, Prahlad Maharaj is the basis. But some people say, we're not interested in Prahlad. Well, that's a fine dandy. We're not interested in the basis, so you're a kite without a string in the sky. Not only are we not interested in Prahlad, they said, we're not interested in Advaita because he can't give, what was it? Brajabhav. He can't give Brajabhav. That's about as close to Brajabhav as they got, is those two words in their those big words in their small little mouth. They look like a hummingbird tweeting next to the elephants that were roaring, like Srila Sridhara Maharaja, the proper conception. They're also not interested in Advaita. But if there was no Advaita, there would be no Mahaprabhu. Takers of, convenience, but few takers of the truth. Prahlad Maharaj has been accepted as the basis, the beginning of pure devotion, Suddha Bhakti, in peacefulness, or Shantaras. Hanuman is above that in servitorship, or Dasaras. Above that are the Pandavas in friendship, and Sakyaras. And Uddhava is somewhat in friendship connected with Vatsalyaras and consort, Madhurya. So he's a friend, but he has a connection, he has a capacity in both Vatsalyaras and in Madhurya Ras, if I read that correctly. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And Uddhava is somewhat in friendship, connecting with parenthood and consorthood. All three. Because he has some capacity there. In this way, adherence in devotion for Krishna automatically flows towards Vrndavan. The acme is in Vrndavan. The acme means the point of it. The pinnacle, the highest part of the mountain, the acme, it's the highest part. The acme is in Vrndavan. This is also found in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conversation with Ramananda Roy. And he quotes, what is this? Read that.
Tebyasta pashu palapankaj darshatabhya pisa radhika.
Upadeshamrita, sloka 10. And the high devotion of Srimati Radharani is categorically different from that of all the gopis. The type of service found in her is particularly unaccountable, inconceivable. Shrutibir Vimrigyam. That's Bhagavad Gita, I guess. Bhagavatam 10:47, etc. The rishis, the seers, saw that the Vedic mantras were eternal. They are not creators of the mantras in the Vedas. They are only seers and feelers of spiritual current. They are only observers. They are not creators of the mantras in the Vedas. They are the seers only. So similarly, Srila Sridhara Maharaja, he's not creating anything. He writes from a position of such deep realization. His poems and poetries are not just combinations of words that can rhyme and qualify as a poem or a poetry or the meter. Oh, that's a nice sloka. They're not just repeating something. They are profound, very profound. And each one of his, who said, when Srila Sridhara Maharaj reads the newspaper, it's like others reading the Vedas. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means he can see right through the mundane to the eternal plane and extract that which is eternal. So that's what you expect to find. Don't read Sridhara Maharaj as anything lightly. There is no lightly Sridhara Maharaj. It is more heavy than gold. It is heavyweight personified. Deep realization. A profound seer of the truth. And he's collected not just one, but numerous gems and placed them in his poems and writings and in his speeches. Numerous gems from the plane of eternal truth. And he's presented them, offered them to who has the good fortune to accept the offering. But one cannot steal those things and go away and make market from them. It's kind of like the guy steals the thing, but as he's running away, it just transforms into something else. When it leaves the vicinity of the shop, he's stolen something made of gold, but when he opens the bag, ha ha ha, it's made of clay. But he's such a fool, he can't see the difference. He doesn't know what he was stealing. And he's completely illusioned. And I see that people they're trying to use Sridhar Maharaj's books, or his sayings. My old friend from New York who commented, yes, I also use Sridhar Maharaj. He's like, when he said that on the phone, it was like, somebody picked that needle out of my ear. It was just a painful thing. And we're not using any of these things. And someone made a comment once, way back, oh, he's just using Sridhar Maharaj for popularity. I thought, oh yeah, that was a real brilliant move. That got me thrown out of ISKCON, got me called a snake, a demon, 2 or 3 death threat letters. Some guy was coming to South India on the GBC's order to beat the snot out of me. Oh yeah, I'm really benefiting by using Sridhar Maharaj. But this is the way, why they think, what is that? Amanyate Jagat?
Atmavan Manyate Jagat. Atmavan Manyate Jagat.
Atmavan Manyate Jagat. I think, you think, because that's the way I think. So, quite revealing to them how they come to something of Rupa Goswami or anybody, Srila Puri Maharaj, anywhere, and they use that. They're just using that. And then Srila Sridhara Maharaj said, Guru Bhogi also there. Guru Bhogi also there. So, yeah. But little do they know, yes, for our benefit, we have accepted these things and we have benefited beyond their wildest expectation. The knowledge that is contained in the Shruti Vedas is not created by anyone or anything. It is eternal and flowing. The rishis are onlookers and recorders, and that Shruti has come to reveal the fundamental truth underlying the whole creation. Still, they are only inquisitive of something. They are inquiring about something. What that thing is, they do not know. They are only searching for the highest revelation that ever came down in the world. They are only searching for that reality, but they have not yet come into its connection. And this is Krishna Bhakti and Braja Bhakti, loving devotion for Krishna in Vrndavan. And Mahaprabhu and Srimad Bhagavatam came with the quality of that type of adherence to the truth. Unconditional surrender. Adherence. Searching and serving attitude. Seeking such fortune of serving the truth. So I put this out there frequently. You cannot take, you must serve the conception. When you are captured by the conception, or what? Then you go down to the royal, when the king's captured you, then you go down to the royal treasury and start picking what jewels you want? I don't think so. Once you're captured, now you serve. Now you're a slave. Without that, then you have no real movement in the palace. You just be locked in the dungeon. But with service, one is then given some movement, some interaction there. That higher type of truth in existence is such that if we can be only a seeker after it, we may consider ourselves to be possessors of the highest fortune. So when Srila Maharaja was asked the rather lame question, can you see Krishna? He said, no, but I think I'm on the right path. So they were just fishing. Let's get the same answer we got from Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhupada said, I am seeing Krishna. God is not dead. I am seeing Krishna face to face. And I think they take that literally also. And I don't. I don't take that literally. That is for the next life. That is such a rare thing. Krishna just comes in and reveals himself in that way. They think Krishna was in Prabhupada's room. There are all kind of fairy tales out there. They don't actually know what self-realization is. The Prabhupada is speaking the truth because he sees Krishna everywhere. Those with a divine vision see Krishna everywhere. Everything comes from Krishna. Everything is made of Krishna's energy. When you see a police car, it's as good as seeing the police, isn't it? If you don't know what a police car is, and you don't know what a policeman's uniform is, then how do you see a police? You don't know. So yes, he's seeing Krishna face to face, but I personally don't think that there were many, if any, occasions, because one does not embark on the preaching platform after that experience. I'm sorry. That just wipes out everything. That is for the world beyond. Srila Maharaja laughed and said, a dreamy thing. So many people say they saw Krishna, this and that. That's just a dreamy thing, he said. That's for the next life. After this world, that's that world. And there is where one sees his Lord face to face. Actually, seeing Krishna face to face in this world might destroy this whole body. And how you saw it with your eyes. You have to have eyes to see Krishna. So which way they're seeing Krishna? What does that mean? So Sridhar Maharaj answered, no, I have not, but I think I'm on the right path. And now he's qualifying that as once onto the right path, one should think I'm in possession of the highest fortune. Not to be so anxious for the end of that, so-called end of that infinite path. The prayojana, yes, I have seen. And, do you understand what I'm saying? That just floats in the bridge. You see these chocolate sadhus on all the pictures, or all these guys from the third generation, what it is, the father and the other son became a lawyer or something like that, and the grandsons now, the Bhagavad, they're all these pussy-looking, candy-ass sadhus. They don't have any self-realization. They're just fluffing themselves, their feathers up, that they were born in the Vrndavan. So the rickshaw wall was born here also. But they will not eat the fruit of the rickshaw. All right, Srila Sridhara Goswami Maharaja ki jai.
Srila Guru Maharaja ki jai. Vaishnava Vrndavan.